Hi guys. I wanted to come on immediately. I just watched the latest episode of RuPaul's All Stars Season 4, Episode 8, which is called RuPaul's Best Judy Race. This episode was rough. First, my top 3 things of the week are Valentina's lipstick message on the wall. She wrote, I have to pack. That was hilarious. 2 would be Naomi Smalls' look and performance at the end of the episode, which I'll talk more about that in a bit. And then the teachable moment regarding Judy Garland, and then the birth of Stonewall riots. So let's get into the review. And so at the top of the episode, the queens walk back into the workroom, and all of RuPaul's pictures have been replaced with pictures of Judy Garland. And so they're kind of like trying to figure out, what does this mean? And so Latrice has just eliminated Valentina. The workroom is very somber. And even Trinity reveals that had she won the lip sync, she would have sent Valentina home. So fast forward, RuPaul comes out to greet the girls and says kind of like why Judy Garland's pictures are up. Julie Garland is an iconic gay icon, and one of Ru's favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. After learning that, I actually wanted to rewatch The Wizard of Oz, but I just really haven't. But that is one of Ru's favorite movies. And Ru's favorite part is when, at the end of the movie, I believe, Dorothy says that she's going to miss the Scarecrow most of all. And it's about kind of like going towards emotion and human connections, even if they're very difficult, because we have to live this life now. And I've been trying to do that, but it's a struggle. And so the one thing that I loved about this episode was the educational moment. I love when Ru inserts gay history into the episodes. And so I was kind of familiar with this. So Judy Garland died in June of 1969. And so at the Stonewall Inn, which was a gay bar where people from the community would congregate, police would raid this particular bar consistently. And so the weight of Judy's death forces them to mobilize and fight back against the police doing a routine raid. And I really loved learning about this. Judy Garland was really part of the fabric of gay life during the 60s and 70s. And I loved learning about closeted men. They would kind of like ask each other, are you a friend of Dorothy? And so that all was really cool. And so we learned that this episode is called RuPaul's Best Judy Race because all of the queens, their best Judys, are coming in for the makeup episode, or makeover episode, sorry, which is one of my favorite episodes of the season because it really weeds out the super queens from the okay queens. Anyone or most drag queens can kind of like do themselves, but you really learn who is talented when they have to make over someone else. And I love seeing the transformations from these kind of like very butch men to these very feminine creatures. And also, one of the things that I love about this episode is that Ru finally comes into the workroom. I don't think that Ru has come into the workroom previously during this season. And this is the moment where Ru has very tender moments, which Monique talks about, very tender moments with the contestants. And Ru is able to give them personal advice and also insert gay culture and great lines from movies that taught Ru how to be a drag queen. And my favorite moment out of all the kind of like interactions between Ru and the contestants is when Ru is talking to Naomi Smalls. And so Ru is just very observant. I have been able to meet Ru twice, and Ru is so kind of like concerned about other people and just very observant. And so Ru is looking at Naomi's hand and realizes that Naomi is shaking. And so Ru says, unpack this, tell me about it. And Naomi says, I am afraid to say the wrong thing and do something foolish in front of someone like you who I admire so much. And Ru is pumped and says, you know what? This is a teachable moment. From now on, I want you to say something foolish and say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, because that's how you learn how to be your best and how not to be afraid. And so I loved hearing that and seeing that moment between Ru and Naomi Smalls. That was a great moment. And so kind of like fast forward to the runway, where the runway looks are called Best Judy's. And so I think, oh wait, Ru's look is very Mad Max meets older Palm Springs drag queen going to a thrift store on whatever the main street is in Palm Springs. I loved it. I loved the references and I loved the gown. And I always try to remember who designs Ru's gowns. But he was on, I believe, last season as a judge. I can never remember his name, but it'll come to me sooner or later. I really loved Monique's look with her Judy. Monique is such a talented makeup artist, and you could see how talented she was with the makeup artistry that she created on her Best Judy. And the look was very Monique Hart with what she did with her Judy. It was very polished. I even love the details of the eyebrow and the eyeshadow, and the outfits were fantastic. I love kind of like the outfits were kind of like reverse of the other, and I love the eyelashes on the long sleeve glove, the opera gloves. It was a great moment for Monique. I also loved Monet, and it was funny that Monet brought up that the makeover challenge sent her home during the makeup challenge sent Monique home during her season. And I love that she was able to kind of like redeem herself in this particular season because she looked great. I don't know if she made that outfit. I wish we got to see the kind of like construction of the outfits because I loved the material, and actually Latrice was wearing a very similar material. It's kind of like the I don't even know what it is, but it's that material that when you touch it, it creates a contrast and a difference in color in the material. I don't know what it is, but it always looks great, and the queens actually use it a lot for their costumes. Latrice really disappointed me. She went back to her comfort zone, which is pageant drag, and her look for her Judy, I didn't get a family resemblance at all. I understand that she said there was kind of like fire and ice, a play on that, but the wigs were different. The themes of the outfit were completely different. I did not like it. Manila was kind of blah, but the makeup that she put on her husband was beautiful, but they didn't look anything at all. They didn't look anything alike at all. That's what I meant to say. Naomi really took a chance, and she used a Sunny and Cher theme. But what I loved about Naomi and the transformation that she gave to her Judy, the eye makeup was exquisite and flawless. It was almost a mirror. I really loved the detail of the makeup that she had on her best Judy, and actually couldn't, with some of the other makeovers, you could really see that they didn't do a lot, and kind of like the jaw structure, the structure of the jaw was still the same, but with Naomi, with her Judy, there was this complete transformation, a complete feminization of the face, and I really liked it. And there was a strong resemblance between them, and it was a risk that Naomi took, that they both came out with like long-haired, racially ambiguous Cher, and then Naomi took the long wig off and had like a short, sunny, I think it's called like a pixie cut, or a kitty cat wig, which Monet loves to wear, and put on a mustache. And so that was a risk, and the risk paid off for Naomi. Trinity and her boyfriend looked like Linda Evangelista meets Versace runway in the early 90s. I really loved it. It was more safe, but it was a beautiful look for them. And so Naomi and Monet are the top two of the week, and it was well deserved. And I'm so glad that Monet was in the top two, because it was such a great moment for her. And so I fast forwarded through the moments with the queens back in the workroom, because I had accidentally read a ton of spoilers about this particular episode, and I was hoping that they weren't true. I want to figure out how I can block all of these like YouTube videos that have these spoilers, because like even the titles even will like give you spoiler information, and I just hate reading them. If anybody can tell me how to block them, I would love to do that, because they're quite annoying. So I had basically, at like last week, learned that potentially Naomi would eliminate Manila. And so I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not true. And then there's this YouTube channel, I think it's called like Spoiled Drag Race, something like that, that made a post about Chad Michaels saying that for anyone who is eliminated, don't be upset because it's such like a tight competition. And then people were commenting that if Naomi eliminates Manila, they're going to sue, like LOL. They're going to starve themselves. They're going to go on a hunger strike. So I was like, okay, I don't want to read these anymore. So fast forward through all of that, I just wanted to see the lip sync. They performed to a Judy Garland song, which I never heard, and Naomi changed. Monet kept on the same outfit. Naomi looked like a vintage black Barbie who is going to Paris Fashion Week. The coat, exquisite. The gown underneath, exquisite. She was cinched. Naomi is turning into a lip sync assassin. I really underestimated Naomi and her performance abilities. I can't even remember the times that she actually performed during her season, but she has really surprised me, and I actually really want to see her perform live now. Like, there are some people who I would never see them perform if they came to LA, but I definitely want to see Naomi Smalls perform somewhere and immediately. So Naomi wows everyone. Even Latrice says that only her eyes are focused on Naomi. I'm not sure what Monet was doing. And she had this prop of an umbrella early in the song, sets it on the ground, and then picks it up at the end of the song, which is such like a waste of a prop. I think it should have been the first thing that she did. And I'm like, sometimes Monet doesn't really deliver in performance. And earlier in one of my reviews, I referenced kind of like Ru using these kind of like slower songs so the queens can pull out these nuances, these different movements and gestures that really separate super queens from mediocre queens. This is one of those songs. This is that challenge. This is a challenge where if a person is doing like death drops and all these stunts, they could lose the lip sync, but Naomi gave enough kind of like theatrics mixed with subtle stunts that really sold this performance, and she rightfully won the lip sync. However, she sent Manila home, and I was really heartbroken for Manila because Manila was kind of like the Ben de la Creme of this season and really just turning out looks, winning challenges, and I think won the most challenges, or was in the top two the most. It's either her or Trinity with the most wins. And so I was really shocked that Naomi sent Manila home. And so we kind of like see in the sneak peek for the next episode that Naomi says, somebody, like I think Trinity says that, oh, you're such a shady girl. And Naomi says, well, the world isn't fair, which is kind of like a letdown. I was expecting something a little bit more calculated. But I don't think that Naomi should have sent Manila home. I thought it was interesting that kind of like in the part that I actually didn't skip, Trinity and Monique Hart are having a conversation on the couch, and Monique, or Trinity asked Monique, who do you think Naomi is going to save? And she said that, well, Latrice just saved Naomi last week, so she might save Latrice. And so I guess that came true, that Naomi wanted to save Latrice because Latrice saved Naomi the previous week. So there was an alliance that was created that we didn't know about. This is the end of my review. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments about this episode. Do you think Manila should have went home? Do you think Naomi should have sent Latrice home? Has Latrice overstayed her welcome? Is Latrice going to give us pageant drag next week? We're so close to the end of this season, and Drag Race season 11 starting. So I think we have 2 more episodes left, and so I'm really excited to see what the next episode, what happens, and I hope the finale is live, or at least they have like a Q&A of the queens of this All Stars, because we didn't get one last season. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. And I will be watching Friday, excited to see what happens. Well, have a good night, guys. Besos.